Ooh, I gotta see this. Wow, that is a meme. AKs, champagnes, and something here that says...
Gun meme review.
This is Brennan Herrera video, and someone asked, Deathslinger asks, why does he own so many guns? Well, it's because he loves guns, is a gun YouTuber, and is actually a gun manufacturer. So this is probably the man with the most licenses in all of YouTube, because I'm here to tell you, to manufacture a destructive device is not a small thing. Actually, FPS Russia talked a little bit about it. Part of that licensing is that you are subject to significant inspection requirements by the ATF. And this is actually probably a fair way of going about things. So the fact that he even can afford a licensed workshop is pretty astounding.
On tonight's program, we've got memes about Ukraine, memes about Scott and Demo Ranch, and more gun meme goodness. But first, let's delve into a couple of the memes that have come out this week about the war in Ukraine. Or excuse me, military operation in Ukraine. Like so.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to point this out. I'm curious. There hasn't really been a, what's the word I want? Agreed upon name in English for this conflict. Is it the Ukraine war? Is it the Russo-Ukrainian war? Is it the Russian invasion of Ukraine? Is it the war in Ukraine? I haven't heard. I don't think it's been confirmed. But...
Like Scoob, this doesn't feel like a military exercise.
Okay, this is pretty funny, though it's a little off-putting that the Mystery Machine has a crudely drawn nuclear weapon, which doesn't look like anything else YouTube censors. It just looks like one of the two original nuclear weapons. You had, what was it? Little Man, which was like a, 3-foot-long tube like this. And then you had Fat Boy, which was short and squat. They actually had different firing mechanisms. Also, shout out to the Z on this. And the fact that it has treads, but the actual Russian invasion used regular old contractor vans.
Now's not the time to split up and look for clues. Let's load up in the mystery APC. I know it's tracked in this picture, but it reminds me of that thing that looked like the fucking mystery.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I love this comment, actually. I thought they had a decent military. This is so Scooby-Doo shit here. If this was what my country gave me to assault another country, I would straight up desert. Okay, this is actually meant to be an ambulance, but I love how the Red Cross is this big and the fucking Z is everywhere. Also want to point out, I have a suspicion that when you see the super jank looking equipment, that may be separatists in Donbass.
Machine that they were deploying in Ukraine. Although with as many javelins and anti-armor stuff they've got floating around in that country right now, you could not pay me to be mechanized cavalry right now. Anything with that Z on it is like a missile magnet.
Mechanized. Okay, so yeah, I guess mechanized cavalry is the term. Usually we just call them, you couldn't pay me to be a Cav Scout, or mech infantry. Mech infantry are infantry that ride to battle in APCs, usually supported by tanks and armor. Cav Scouts, or 19 Deltas, are, as they say, the eyes and ears of the battlefield. They often ride in Strikers, so what are supposed to be lighter, more maneuverable vehicles, but in places like Iraq, of course, they're still huge. They're still huge and considered basically tanks. Even those were actually too big. Strikers were found to be too big to fit into many of the roads in Iraq and were too heavy for roads in Afghanistan. That's why they had to come up with the MATVs, which ironically now have basically turned everyone into mech infantry. It's pretty wild to see the difference between the standard doctrinal U.S. military tactics and then what you actually did in Afghanistan. It was pretty wild, honestly, to be like, because when you have a big armored four-wheeled vehicle with a turret on top, can be tank-like. It's such a powerful enabler, but the U.S. military gives you no training on how to use this really powerful enabler.
I'm good. If I'm in that 40-mile convoy headed to Kiev, I'm the guy who's always taken a leak in the woods about 40 yards away from all the vehicles. Things are getting so bad.
Yeah, I mean, the irony is, of course, that we now know that a lot of Russian troops went to take a leak and never came back. Someone asked, can Cav Scouts Can a striker's armor or Cav Scout's armor, can it take an RPG-7? I'm not. They. I believe you can see in pictures that after a few years in Iraq, they installed RPG cages.
Troops are deploying somewhere.
Okay, random gunslinger wants me to clarify. Did I say no training? Yeah, on MATVs, yeah. When we landed in Afghanistan, that was the first time I had ever seen an MRAP or an MATV. I was signing for vehicles I had literally never seen before. Our soldiers got a 1-day driving certification, and then were authorized to patrol. It was, if you're like, wow, that sounds super fucked up. Yes. The answer is yes. That was super fucked up. So much so that the unit that was supposed to be giving us our official, they call them it a RIP, a relief in place, where the old unit and the new unit comes in, they spend like 2 or 3 weeks, like shoulder to shoulder working together, learning everything about their AO. And then the old unit goes home and the new unit kind of flies by themselves. Yeah, that didn't really happen for us. It was just too chaotic. We weren't even sure who we were replacing because of fluctuating troop numbers and stuff. And the troop numbers were supposed to go down, then they were going up again after a couple months. So rotation schedules got all fucked up. So yeah, we signed for these vehicles that like some of them hadn't even been used. Like they had been assigned to a unit that ended up doing like base defense on an airbase, so they never really rolled. It was really weird. It was so weird and chaotic. But yeah, the fact that we went from having never seen these vehicles before to using them as like incredible tactical enablers is a testament to just like the flexibility and knowledge of really my soldiers, man. Those guys deserve all the credit in the world. That's pretty incredible. Whoa! Thank you for the incredible number of 10 tier 1 sub gifts, Santias Friere. Damn, dude, that's a solid move, man. Thank you.
What unconventional methods of vehicle protection? Leaked Cope Cage V2.
I love that it's called the Cope Cage. Yeah.
Pros: lighter, morale boost, can bounce on. Cons: still doesn't work. Now, of course, like we've mentioned before, this is definitely an all-hands-on-deck situation for Ukraine, which isn't just limited to the Ukrainian military and the civilians that they've armed. They're also taking in foreign volunteer fighters from all around the world. The only problem with that is sometimes that can get a little awkward. Retired U.S.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I saw this. This is a pretty good
Marines
one.
joining the Ukrainian Foreign Legion. Veteran Taliban also joining the Ukrainian Foreign Legion.
Okay, guys, I'm going to let you in on a dark secret for me personally. The Taliban fighters, the Taliban ideologically are monsters. Or sorry, I shouldn't say that. That's an unfair characterization. The Taliban are so culturally different from me as a American, right? That I think their ideology looks like pretty monstrous to me. That said, the actual fighters, the people that stopped farming, picked up a weapon, and was like, we're gonna fight the Americans, you have to kind of begrudgingly respect that. You have to admit these guys showed up to fight. And in the US, you got to remember that in the entire US population, 0.45 have served in the military at all. And only about a third of those who serve in the military, or like half, have deployed to one of the GWOT war zones. And yeah, and of that, even a smaller number engage in actual combat operations, like a third, I think, actually engage in like walk around, patrol, shoot, do counterinsurgency, get in gunfights, that sort of thing. So you're talking about basically a tiny, maybe 100,000 people on each side, maybe 200,000, which is pretty wild. And yeah, so it's like, and most Americans, right, despite being at war for 20 years, the vast majority of Americans sat that shit out. They were like, this is somebody else's problem, which is why I'm always a little which is why I sort of have a healthy skepticism to the people who are like, I just saw what was happening in Ukraine and I just had to help them. It's like, dude, you don't speak Ukrainian. You don't know anything about their culture. You don't know anything. You can't read a sign. You can't read the road signs. What are you going to do? And it's like, you're going to help. Like, dude, bro, your country did ask for help. Your country did need you. Okay. And you told them to peace out. So, like, don't act like you're a hero for diving on Ukraine. The people that I admit are badasses is the people who served in Iraq or Afghanistan and then were like, let's go help the Ukrainians. That's a Chad move right there. So all this to say that there is a begrudging respect for the Taliban that showed up to fight.
Enemy of my enemy is still probably a little sour. What's worse is that you could probably take this one a little deeper too if you want to. Retired US Marines joining the Ukrainian Foreign Legion. Veteran Taliban also joining the Ukrainian Foreign Legion. Seeing the equipment that they left behind in Afghanistan.
That's the most uncomfortable yet. Seeing your equipment, your $3,000 or $5,000 ACOGs in the hands of the Taliban is a real herder. That really stings.
All of a sudden it seemed...
I'll admit, that was, one of the things that surprised me, even though it's 10 years removed, I got a little case of the feelies there when Kabul actually fell. That hurt. It
was like those extra helicopters and rockets could have come in handy. I mean, at least in this case, they'd be putting it to use against somebody who isn't us. Well, at least the ones that the Taliban hasn't crashed yet. Never ask a woman her age, a man his salary, or a Ukrainian soldier what that weird patch means. Yeah, the Azov battalion kind of overdoses on based a little bit. It's like Special Forces 4chan edition. You don't ask a woman her age, a man his salary, a Ukrainian soldier what that weird patch means, or a German company what they were doing between the years 1939 and 1945.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to state another, while we're at weird, uncomfortable truths. Like, Ukrainian's government is largely democratic, though, it's still fairly corrupt, but I think they're working hard at anti-corruption efforts. But a lot of these groups, like the Azov battalion, are they have some level of ideological alignment. They are Ukrainian ultranationalists. I think there's agreement on that. But sometimes that ultranationalism appears to line up uncomfortably close with some pretty creepy ideologies. Think like people Volkswagen was working for in the Second World War. You know what I mean? And it's a problem. I worry that you're going to run into the same situation that you had when the U.S. chose to arm the Mujahideen in Afghanistan in the 80s. You flooded a region with weapons. You gave combat experience, combat training, and high-end weapons to ideological extremists. And were they necessary? Yes, they were the only people that showed up to defend Afghanistan from the Soviets. But a consequence of that action down the line meant that the country was deeply destabilized and became a hub for international Islamic extremist terrorism. I worry that a far right-wing organization like Azov, whether or not they are, how closely aligned they are with Bad Mustache Man, they are definitely far right, to the point where they are a problem for their country. So much so that instead of dissolving them, like the U.S. would do with a militia group that it found to be a threat, they had to integrate them into the Ukrainian National Guard, making them sort of official. And yeah, I worry that it seems like if or when they win, that you're going to have this powerful ultra right-wing group that now has combat experience, a lot of weapons, and a strong ideological commitment. Maybe I'm wrong, but I history has said that's probably not a great combination.
Pretty sure Hugo Boss leaves that bit out of the About Us section on the website. Now, if you saw my last video about some of the weird guns that are popping up in the Ukrainian conflict, you recognize this gentleman. Mention all we need is an Alton helmet for him, and he's Little Tachanka. That kind of got me thinking, so I fired up Photoshop, and, you know, this is one of the first gun meme review submissions by me. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you, Little Tachanka.
That's pretty funny.
Do with that format as you wish. So, before we move on from all the Russia-Ukraine stuff, we gotta do it to you. Marty Robbins meme. Shitposter ballads and other associated pro-Ukraine propaganda. Marty Robbins. Big N-Law. The Cope Cage.
The Cope Cage. I appreciate that that is now the Instagram term for it, right? What they're actually referring to is the improvised cages over the tanks that many Russians are constructing, which may have some level of may be able to stop like an RPG, but don't stop N-laws whatsoever. They're referred to as the Cope Cage.
The Bayraktar Menace. 160 dead Russian tanks.
Oh man, that's doubled in the past like week.
Saint Javelin. Where is my goddamn fuel? VDV got ratio.
They're asking where's my fuel because they need to sell it. Right? You're a Russian conscript? Yeah.
VDV got ratioed part 2.
Guys, okay, if you don't know this, the VDV, and to everyone's consternation, has been repeatedly... the VDV is the Russian Airborne Corps. It's their version of the 82nd Airborne. Extremely well-trained, extremely zealous, and better equipped than the standard Russian infantry or mech infantry. And they were dropped into key airfields in order to seize them. This is actually a great use of paratroopers. The problem is that they were not supported. See, paratroopers can fight for at max 72 hours, but 24 is your better bet. So if you're going to drop paratroopers in an area, you have to have a plan to get a ground connection to them so that they can have resupplies, right? You can't drop with that much food, water, or ammunition. And so these guys would drop into these airfields, seize them, and then just run out of ammunition and food and water and get killed as the Ukrainian military rallied and brought their forces to bear, right? Because again, if you do it right, you have your front line here, you drop in paratroopers, and then this poor your enemy military has to choose between fighting the paratroopers or fighting the front line of your forces. And, reinforcements either can't get there because the paratroopers are blocking key terrain, key avenues of approach, or they have to divert reinforcements. And so it makes it easier for your main body to break through. But when they break through, they have to link up with the paratroopers so that they have food and water.
Little Green Men. Kyiv, not Kiev. No air superiority? VDV got ratioed part 3.
Oh, man.
Babe, wake up. The Ukrainian farmers stole another Russian tank. It's not gay to simp for Zelensky. Copium snorting tanky. Seriously though, who the fuck planned those VDV missions?
Okay, the last one's true. All right, I think the simping for Zelensky is pretty cringe. I give him, though. I will say this. If you asked me which U.S. politicians would stay in D.C. if there was an enemy army within 40 miles of D.C., I think that answer would be 0. I think they would, almost to a person, pull an Ashraf Ghani and you'd see them loading just bags of cash into helicopters, right? Getting ready to get it out. Maybe Dan Crenshaw and maybe AOC would stick around just because they seem like actual ideologues, and Dan Crenshaw isn't someone who's going to be that worried about the shit. Everyone else, let's be honest, is Sanders maybe too. Sanders maybe too. Maybe. The Sanders seems like someone who would listen if the Secret Service was like, sir, you have to leave, right? You need to have a certain level of like disrespect for the Secret Service and protection to tell them to go F off, right? So you either have to be an extreme ideologue, right? Like an idealist, sorry. Maybe ideologue, depending on your opinion. Or someone who is like, has the experience to just be like, nah, how about nah? Yeah, the Secret Service would try to get as many people out as possible. And to be fair, I think Zelensky did order the most of the functions of the Ukraine government out of Kiev. I think most of them are operating in Lviv now. Oh, Nautical Coffin points out, correct. The Secret Service doesn't handle senators. It's actually the Capitol Police. They have their own force protection service. I think they have their special agents that do it.
Now, if you want to see a video breaking down and firing a real javelin, go ahead and subscribe. I mean, I'm probably not ever going to be able to do that, but you should subscribe anyway. Okay.
Yeah, Tirasangi points out that Zelensky did a phenomenal job of PR for garnering international and local support, right? Like, if you know that he is still in Kiev, then you as a defender of Kiev will know that, like, hey, the situation's not that bad because he's here, right?
Maybe Javelin's a little far out of reach. Those things are like $250,000 a piece, but we might be able to get our hands on an RPG. Not like my RPG, like get some rockets for an RPG. I think that'd be fun. You never know. You could miss out. So let's move on from Ukraine.
A leader should stay with their troops, Zarwolf. That keyword is a leader. Yeah, I don't know. I've become saltier and saltier about America's elected representatives.
And onto some other gun memes. This one from Garantham. I strive to live my life with the same energy as Muldoon. That guy was the fucking OG.
Who is Muldoon?
If you're too young to remember who this is, he was from the good Jurassic Park. And I've also seen Garantham posting a lot more Spaz 12 content. Gee, I wonder what video he could be coming out with soon. I'm honestly just impressed he could get his hands on a Spaz 12. They really never brought that many into the country, so they are super expensive, super rare, very sought after. I'm honestly surprised he was able to get his hands on one.
It seems so bulky. I mean, here's the thing. If you're someone like Garantham, I mean, okay, question. You get a rare weapon imported in small numbers. What if you bought it and rented it out to gun nerds? If you were like, hey, I'll buy this Spaz 12 for $10,000, but if you want the rare and bougie experience of shooting a Spaz 12, $99 will get you 20 rounds through it. All right, so that way it pays for itself after just 100 rentals. That's pretty good.
Just remember, kids, flexing is not a right. It's an obligation. But speaking of kind of weird guns, LAS Concealment has finally dropped the Makarov holster that we've been waiting for. And they kind of memed on me in the process.
Ooh, I gotta see this. Wow, that is a meme. AKs, champagnes, and something here that says something not forgotten. And Jesus, holding an AK. Oh.
Behold, the custom brand and Herrera print Makarov holster. They also make them for
I love my Makarov. I don't care what anyone says. That's a great firearm.
Glocks and other things.
It's not great. It's a well-designed firearm for exactly what it's meant to be. It's inferior to the Glock in basically every way. But for its time, it was a minimalist, highly functional pistol. And yes, the safety sucks, but you know what? Just Israeli safety it. All safety's off. Just rack it. Put one in the pipe.
Things, but come on.
This is not gun advice, YouTube. I'm just speculating. In Minecraft.
You want to carry a Makarov with this thing, right? I love they include the AKs, the AK Jesus photo, the Man Mosas, of course. They also included the photo of my stolen motorcycle.
Ouch.
Gone but not forgotten.
Wow, that warrants a slap. No, it doesn't. That's the point.
But I'm just glad to see this finally come to fruition. So if you want to check it out, we'll leave the links down in the description. And
keep your motorcycle's name out my mouth.
And in the pinned comment where you could check out how to get one for yourself. So now I have a couple memes of my boys, Kentucky Ballistics and Demolition Ranch. This format has been pretty great. Me, I'm gonna hit the gym and start eating healthier. Also me. All you can eat barbecue.
Ooh, man, that sounds like it's going to be terrible. Just like so gross. I mean, imagine how badly you'd have to fuck up barbecue to make so much of it that it's all you can eat, especially if it's in Kentucky.
Thankfully, my wrist is starting to heal. I can finally, like, actually do regular shit again. Get your head out of the gutter. So I'm thinking here in the next couple weeks, we're gonna go ahead and do that fitness challenge. Gonna turn you fuckers into the sexy YouTube mother.
Fitness barbecue in your mouth. Fitness fried chicken in your mouth.
The lovers you know you can be. Should also probably curb my drinking a little bit. But until I'm fully healed, bottoms up. And yes, Red Solo Cup, I know, I live in a house. I'm moving. It's a long story. It's a short story.
He's like, I live in a house.
I want to get the fuck out of the city. Further out in the country and closer to my friends like, oh yeah, Demo Ranch. Brandon, bringing guests onto GMR.
What is GMR?
Matt. Well,
Gun Meme Review.
Come on,
Yeah.
I did film some collab stuff with Matt and Scott like 2 weeks ago or something like that, which still more of that's coming out. Matt, if you're watching this, you were welcome on Gun Meme Review anytime. Oh yeah, that's right, I forgot. We snapped Scott in for his Gun Meme Review appearance. Well, it's time to get Demolition Ranch on Gun Meme Review.
Bummer.
Oh, that's right, it doesn't work. Matt's rich. Oh, well, it was worth a shot. He's starting to turn my life around in 2022. World War III.
Listen, the World War III, I've talked about this, man. It's not World War III. It's just not. It's at most, it's a regional conflict. It's not going to escalate. The entire reason the conflict started was so that Putin wouldn't have it escalate to include NATO. So, yeah.
Is that a Drewski cameo I spot? Well, the good news is you can still focus on the stuff.
Oh, yeah, it's Drewski, Operator Drewski. I heard that Matt from Demolition Ranch and Operator Drewski were brothers.
You can control. There's a chance the world might be ending, but until it does, we will continue to act as if it intends to spin on. And yes, I just paraphrased Nick Fury. Get over it. My drill press and brand new rifle. Me and my boxers and nods strung out on bookish.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
Sugar. Rookie cop, my parole officer, ATF, FBI, DEA. You guys are fucked up, man. This is
The nod fixation, gentlemen. I don't know what to tell you. It's not great. I don't get it. I don't know what you think you're going to do with nods. You know, you can just turn the lights on, right?
why Scott's wife doesn't let him hang out with us. Where'd you get all these parts kits? Isn't there an import ban? Point number one, mind your own business.
That is a lot of, wow, that is a lot of parts kits.
It's kind of like those dudes on Instagram flexing their kit, and some of that stuff has never been sold to civilians before, meaning the only way to get it was that it fell off a truck. None of
Listen, guys, I mean, okay, I appreciate that. I know who he's talking about. I know at least one account he may be talking about. And I'm pretty sure those people are still in the military or calling in favors with the military. Yeah. And once you reach a certain level, I guess they just let you hire, you can use taxpayer money to hire a videographer and an editor to have sick videos for no reason. Or if you're like me and an even greater cynic, as you reach the end of your service in these elite units, and you want to be a bougie, tactical guy and sell products to LARPers, you just use some of your slush fund budget to hire the videographer and start a YouTube channel to promote recruitment or some other thinly veiled justification. And you just film all these sick videos, and then when you fold up the channel, you leave the military and then become a private contractor with a huge social media following.
of my fucking business, like I said. Seriously, Fort Bragg military surplus stores? Fucking wild, man. Do you think any of us will look back in our lives and regret the things we didn't buy? Me. Thinking about 2019 ammo prices.
Oh, man. Trying to sell me on crypto. Gotta say, there's some crypto. Listen, there's some crypto that I think may have a legitimate transactional purpose. Ethereum, if you can get the gas fees down. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Remember a time when 3 cases of 9mm
Most crypto is nonsense.
wasn't a mortgage payment?
Yeah, a lot of many cryptos are a pyramid scheme. Yeah, because they're not assets. I mean, they're sort of a pyramid scheme. Thank you. In the same way that gold is a pyramid scheme, right? It's like a store of value that isn't bound to any one country's currency. But yeah, it's not. Crypto is worse because it's like, imagine if there was 400 million types of gold, and you're like, some of these golds will be worth a lot later, and some of them won't. So like, you need to have like one gold, right? You can do like a gold, and a silver, a platinum, and a palladium. That's about all there's a market for in terms of precious metals. And even silver isn't really a precious metal. It's $19 an ounce and has been for a decade. So just 3, you just need 3, right? So I'm thinking maybe you have like a very stable store of value that can be transited across points. So maybe something like a Bitcoin. You need basically an Ethereum, which is something that can be used for larger scale transactions. But even Ethereum is pretty bad with the gas fees. And then there's room for a third one. I think that, you know, is I think Bitcoin needs to be far more stabilized, but it's already pretty stable. And then, yeah, I think Ethereum or something like Ethereum that has lower gas fees. Yeah, and then the last one would be some sort of like petty transaction, like something where I could buy stuff at Walgreens with, right? Spend 15, 20, 30 bucks on it.
I feel like I'm just becoming one of those old, gun show boomers. I remember when those AKs were $200 and you couldn't give them away. Come on, this isn't back in...
God, I bought a Wasser 10 for like $200. Those are good times, man. Remember the $75 Mosin? I was there. I was there.
In the day, Grandpa. Although I'm jealous that you got to live through that. Unicorn guns and priceless parts. Brandon, 5 milliseconds later. DeLance, Brandon's FBI agent, the ATF. Yeah, I've probably fumbled and dropped, or, moderately dropped.
S. Collins reminds me of the $80 Cabela's SKS. I had a friend who bought an SKS at Cabela's. Yep, 80 bucks. I spent more on ammo shooting it the first day than I did on the weapon itself. I had friends, this was so nice. In college, there was a free gun range, and I had a car, and we all had these different old military surplus rifles, an SKS, a Mosin, an AK, and we would store them in a storage unit, and we would go pick them up, and we would drive out to this range, rain or shine. We did it when it was like covered in snow, just anything. And we would just shoot targets all day until we were just like so cold. And then we would pack it in and we would drive to Denny's and we would order like everything on the menu, like you could do when you were college kids. And then we'd go back to somebody's off-campus apartment. We would clean all these guns and then we'd put them back in storage and we'd go back on our merry way. It was the best like Saturday or Sunday tradition. It was so much fun.
Priceless weapons.
It was just the best time you could have in college without getting blasted.
And weapon parts more times than I can shake a stick at.
Zalanis points out that it's a lot of money for college students. Remember, this was a time when ammo was cheap. This was like 2005 to 2009, right? And so, yeah, ammo was super cheap. You couldn't give away 7.62 by 39, and he's like, I meant the Denny's. Oh, the Denny's was trivial, but no, we were all in ROTC, so we all had a pretty good level of gun safety. And we also all were on scholarship, which meant that we had a crisp 300 buccarinos a month coming to us from daddy government. Plus the fact that our, tuition was paid for.
I'm surprised somebody hasn't made a compilation yet. Put that over here.
I know you're thinking $300 for food and ammo. A man makes trade-offs.
So you can see it. Didn't have to hand fit it. Me trying to find a place to heal. Some kitted out USEC guy.
This is every Tarkov game.
This happens to me so fucking much. You'd think as much as I play Tarkov that I'd be better at it, but you would be wrong. Speaking of Tarkov, I'm probably going to be playing that on Twitch a lot more in the next few days. So I'm going to be trying that out. Maybe even after this
I should follow Brendan Herrera.
video goes live. Who knows? So if you want to follow me on Twitch, you can go ahead and check that out. I will leave the link in the description and the pinned comment.
Zolana says his friends live off of ramen. Thumbs up, approved. And random fruit trees around campus. Okay, I actually approve of that too.
Come hang out whenever I decide to do that. Gun control fan. Average automatic weapon enjoyer. No civilian should have a semi-automatic AR-15. I agree with you. I think they should all be select fire.
Listen, the average, a 15-minute conversation with the average civilian is the best argument for, if not gun control, a mandatory gun education prior to purchasing. Truly, truly. I really can't emphasize this enough. Maybe not gun control, but goddamn, please just make them take a course. There's so many idiots. Make them show you they're proficient. I mean, even in the military, took you 3 weeks before you were allowed to put a live round into your rifle. 3 weeks of training. That's exaggerated. It was 2 weeks, right? But still, it was like a phenomenal amount of time between, and that's just of learning marksmanship. Weapon safety was on day one. Yeah, Tai Chi sums it up. People are fucking stupid, and that's the main argument for some sort of gun control. Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen to require all those guns and ammo? It does not matter what it is. I will be ready. You know what's crazy?
Okay, I'm gonna point this out, and this is another thing that I'm a little salty about it. So you have to okay, the people that were prepared for anything, usually that means prepared for anything that can be solved by shooting at it. Look at what happened with COVID, right? Masks, toilet paper shortages, what would happen if you had a wildfire near you, right? You can't shoot your way out of a wildfire or a water shortage. Instead, you have to have other forms of resiliency built in, and firearms should be a part of that resiliency system, right? You should also, right? But it's okay, I have a gun. Well, I can hunt something if I had to. Be awesome. Wow, that's prepared for a really bad situation. Can you field dress a squirrel? Can you quarter and dress a deer? Well, if you can't do those things, then what the hell's the point of the gun? Right? And if you just love guns, just say, I love guns. I think guns are neat. Shooting them is fun. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't act like you need, sure, an AR-15, if you're great, hunt, protect yourself. Well, you can't legally hunt with an AR-15 in most states, but yeah, learning to fish. Yeah. Right? The truth is that, I'll tell you, part of my, I don't call it, whatever, survivalist, prepared for anything. Resiliency. That's a term I use, right? Bad things happen. You can keep kicking, right? Solar panels and a big battery to keep your appliances running. And be able to collect some water, because guess what? It's good to have water to water your plants. You might as well. And get some food sources. which are now also my friends in the form of these birds. Why am I friends with birds? I don't know. But these are all things that are both good, right? And also give you some resiliency. Some states don't allow rainwater collection. And here's the thing, I acknowledge some people can't. Like when I lived in a condo, obviously I couldn't have chickens or solar panels or rainwater collection.
Crazy as the world's been getting, I have.
Yeah, but I did have, I'll say this, just having a water filter. Like how many preparedness people don't own a water filter? It's like, dude, that's step one. A water filter and a couple of freeze-dried backpacking meals, right? If you don't have that stuff and a few jugs of water tucked away somewhere, if you don't have that, but you have more than $100 in ammunition, you're not prepared. You're just a gun nerd.
I've been looking into that a lot, like some of the prepping stuff. I realize, nobody thinks about preparing for shit until shit actually happens, which is, again, what just fucking happened. We had a little bit of a scare like this because of the coof, but now like we're getting it again where it's like, okay, well shit, what happens if an EMP pops off? Are we just completely fucked? So I don't know, I've been giving it a lot more thought, kind of just being generally prepared for whatever happens. Well, I mean, having more guns and ammo than a third world militia is a pretty good start. But things like long-term food storage, water filtration, Faraday cage bags, things like that, stuff that I never really gave a whole lot of thought to. So I've started getting to the prepping thing a little bit. I don't know, I just think it's a good idea, just especially like even...
Yeah, okay, is he gonna throw us a sponsor? Is that where this is going? Oh no, he's just speculating. Huh. Okay, well, shout out to him. Yeah, I kind of agree. But again, you need a complete set of skills. And you really do. And if you do it right, you can get those skills and not have it be bad. It's like, okay, you put on solar panels. Cool. Do you know it's going to save you money on your like electric bill. So, okay, we're helping the environment. And yeah, in a crisis, it would be pretty useful. Same with the water collection, or like, even just the backpacking, dude. Backpacking is a pleasure, but it's also really good to refine, I don't want to say survival skills, but the basics of survival skills, right? Cleaning yourself, how to keep how to keep yourself clean, how to eat food in a way that's going to keep it safe, how to navigate, right? Using a map and a compass. Yeah, I wish. Oh God, I wish I should. I don't actually have any like stream sponsors. We're working on it, but it'd be nice. But yeah, no, just like I think backpacking is a lot of fun, right? Yeah, or if you can navigate via the stars, dude, more power to you. But again, it's something where like you put in enough time, you totally can. And yeah, I think building those skills is just incredibly important and incredibly useful for a person to have.
The freeze in Texas last year when I moved wasn't some big apocalypse or anything, but I was without food, without power. Shit can break down so fucking easily.
Yeah, this is the exact situation that my poor wife was in. She was down visiting her brother, and she got caught in the Texas freeze, and she was without power for several days. And he didn't have any food stored. He didn't have any water storage. And they were like within a couple of days in a pretty tight spot. But that's why we make sure that we have some food stored away. I keep a big 1-gallon jug of water in my car just for that reason, right? And it's nice, especially in your car and in your house. It's just good to have, man. And you just get to tuck them away. They last forever. And, we also made sure that prior to this round of freezing, we filled up some water jugs. And, it worked out.
And it doesn't have to be some world-ending thing to do it. So I think it's a good idea to be prepared. I actually think it might be a cool B-channel video if you guys are interested. Kind of looking into my prepping setup, I guess, a little bit, and like critiquing, seeing what I have, what's good, what's bad, what I need, like the gaps in what I have, I suppose. I don't know, I think it might be fun. Let me know in the comments what you think. Or if you think that I've lost my fucking mind. Anyhow, I think that...
Yeah, maybe that would be a good Combat Veteran Live clip, is like talk maybe a podcast episode. I don't know. Would you guys want to see that? Like actual prepping, actual resilience?
That just about wraps up this episode of Gun Meme Review. Make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment. It's kind of weird, but it does help with the algorithm, so I'd appreciate you guys' help. Got some awesome...
All right, guys. All right. That's going to be that there from our boy Brendan. It's always fun, you know? Maybe I should get him on the podcast. I wonder if he'd do it. I'm not, like, big enough. Taichi, yes, I bet you probably have a lot of training in that area. I would say I have a lot of experience. Yeah, I'd say, yeah. You know what? I would say so. The military definitely doing things like opening up a FOB, standing up a forward operating base from nothing, really teaches you a lot about thinking about what a person needs or what a group of people need to just survive, just to sustain themselves, right? You don't think about things like going to the bathroom in a clean, safe place in ways that don't contaminate a water supply, having a place to store water properly, having a place to store your food properly. Yeah. You don't think about those things, you know?
So I said, no, it was supposed to be my pentakill. Why did you do that to me?